During the summer of 2019, the US Air Force had acquired a rather peculiar problem. For seemingly no reason whatsoever, a random user on Facebook made an event claiming to raid the Air Force Base Area 51. Now, troll comments such as these aren't uncommon. For the most part, they can be dismissed as bombastic teenagers making outlandish comments and jokes with the goal of getting some sort of internet recognition. But in reality, there was quite a large difference between this and other internet noise. This joke event had pulled in over 1 million active Facebook users, signed to going out into the middle of the Nevada desert, just to either goof around or cause some anarchy. Joke or not, this raid was a national, if not global phenomenon.
The U.S. Air Force is warning more than 1 million people not to try and raid Area 51.
However, looking back, there are a lot of different opinions on what really became of the raid. Some call it a complete success. Others see it as an abysmal failure. This all begs the question, what was the Area 51 raid? How did it happen? Who started it? And where did it all go so wrong? So, what is really the deal with Area 51, and why is it targeted with so many conspiracies? Well, with most military outposts, their origin dates back to war times, specifically the Cold War. During this time, the US were conducting discrete spy missions to gain intel on the Soviets. This was usually in the form of low-flying recon planes. A common fear, though, was that one of these planes would get spotted and shot down.
Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
So, in 1954, President Eisenhower officially authorized research and development on creating a top-secret high-altitude recon aircraft, dubbed Project Aquatone. This kind of project required a large yet secluded area so that civilians and spies couldn't find out what was being developed. Area 51 fit the bill perfectly, since it had already served in World War II as an aerial gunnery range. However, during the summer of '55, rumors started to arise. Reports of an unidentified flying object over Area 51 had started to surface. What these reports actually were just U-2 test flights. The U-2 was able to break 60,000 feet into the air, which at the time was far beyond the commercial air flights, which were only able to reach 10,000 feet into the air. Even military flights, which were up into 40,000 feet into the air, only saw the U-2 as a speck. Now, the military knew these sightings were just U-2 tests, but if they told the public, they would ruin the top-secret nature of the project. So as an excuse, the US government said, "Don't worry, it's just weather balloons," which would have worked if they hadn't made that same excuse in 1947 with the Roswell incident, also involving possible aliens, which made them look extremely suspicious. Oh dear. The next time Area 51 would receive more rumors was in 1989, when a man named Robert Lazar came onto multiple news stations claiming that he had actually worked at Area 51, not only seeing and communicating with aliens, but reverse engineering alien technology for human use. While the validity of all these statements are still up for debate, what isn't up for debate is the fact that Lazar got a lot of notoriety out of all these events. This notoriety led to a film being made about Area 51 and all of Lazar's experiences, which then led to him being on the Joe Rogan podcast on June 20th, 2019, which was then viewed by a 21-year-old man, Matty Roberts.
You caught my eye, baby, that's why I've got a funny feeling that I'm falling. Show me the ring and oh boy, I'll take it from you.
After watching the podcast, Matty Roberts went to his friends on Facebook to find that they were all making these weird, impossible joke events. Wanting to join in on the fun, Matty made his own Facebook event, based on the first thing that came to his mind. He names the event Storm Area 51. They can't stop us all. It was a pretty dumb joke, but it was a funny joke for a bunch of college students. Now, weeks later, after the original joke was made, Matty started to notice something. People were joining his event at alarming numbers. It wasn't just on Facebook either. Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, everyone was talking about this raid.
To charge the gates to demand, let's see them aliens.
When it got to the point that the Doomsday Preppers were showing off their fancy arsenals to bring to the raid, the FBI decided to step in.
FBI, open up!
Instead of a mock battle at a highly secured military base, the raid transformed into becoming an alien-themed music festival. While this reformatting did draw in a lot of new attention, the locals of Rachel, Nevada saw this as an incoming invasion. It was predicted that this event would pull in at least 30,000 partiers. which for Rachel, Nevada was a massive influx in the normal tourist. Now, most of the town was consistently giving out warnings, explaining to tourists that they probably would need to pack their own food and supplies just to survive out in the desert. However, there was one local that really wanted this party to go places. Connie West, the co-owner of the Little Alien Restaurant and Inn, opened up 30 acres of land for camping area. It looked as if the event was going to be a complete success. That is, until actual payment came up.
I do not have the money.
Now, there were certain expenses that needed to be paid off for alien stock. For example, medical teams, renting out fields for tents, stuff like that. Luckily, there was a company that was willing to help out the... Regardless, these donors were going to give about $70,000 in sponsorship money. Regardless of where the cash was coming from, it was a lot of money, and it would have helped cover for all the expenses of the party. But then things took an unexpected turn.
But the alien-themed party has just been alienated. Co-planner Matty Roberts has backed out, citing safety and transparency issues with West with just days to go.
Being near the military base and being out in the desert in general was really stressful to Matty. He didn't really want to throw a bad party. So he backed out, saying that alien stock would be hosted in Vegas. However, Connie West wasn't going to give up so easy. She had lived in Rachel, Nevada her whole life, and she wanted to host the party there, where it belonged. She even mortgaged her own property, which hadn't been done in generations, just to keep this party going. It was this disagreement that really confused most of the attendees, not knowing where the real alien stock would be hosted. Before any relations between organizers could be patched up or fixed, the date was upon them. It was September 19th, and the raid had officially begun. In the end, there's a rough estimate that about 3,000 people had actually gone to the alien stock hosted in Rachel, and 200 of those attendees actually drove out to the Area 51 gates and goofed around. Of course, guards were watching them closely, and out of all those people at the gate, only one brave soul actually tried to run into the base.
Not getting in trouble, just a warning.
Really?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Guess all that internet hype just boiled down into one person. Or maybe there were more, and they simply just never got caught. So a lot of people criticize the Area 51 raid for being unorganized, unplanned, and just being a poor festival in general. But I think this brings up a really critical ideology. The ideology of expectation
Doing like a big American
versus reality. For example, let's take something like the Fire Festival of 2017. This is often compared to Area 51 as they both had about the same final output. The food was crap, the shelters were makeshift, and the entertainment was kind of non-existent. Keep in mind that everyone going to this thing was expecting a 5-star treatment. And when the expectation is this 5-star rating, and the reality is dog shit, then it makes sense that the festival flops. However, with alien stock, it was expected that nothing was going to happen. I mean, even though it was kind of lame and only a few people went, it still was better than not having it at all. Alien stock is always going to be an interesting phenomenon to me. It was a meme that actually happened. And you don't see that very often, when someone's wild imagination translates into reality.